live from Random Secret Studios in Philadelphia and throughout the Delaware Valley.
I'm the Capo. He's the Prez.
And this is Sons of Ben, the Pod. Gentlemen, welcome back to your Sunday edition of Sons of Ben, the Pod. This is going to be a tough one, Adam. This is episode number, and I'm going to give you two names, and you may know one. I'm going to say it's episode Stefan Wazinski. Or, according to Brotherly Game, it was Wayne Gomes. Devin, you might want to Google both of these guys.
I might want to Google both of these guys.
Stefan Wazinski at least was an offensive lineman on the Super Bowl winning Eagles team.
Yeah, that name rings a bell.
And Wayne Gomes was a crappy pitcher for the Phillies in probably 5-6 years ago. So, being number 61 is not an honor for anybody in Philadelphia sports history. So let's just hope the Pod's better than these guys' career.
I'm very excited to see what you're going to do for 100.
I'd probably start all over. I don't know. But I never even, when we started doing this, I never even thought we would get into the 3 digits. So I was like, oh yeah, sports jerseys. This will be fine. I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe we'll have to add 2 players together to get to the 100 marks, you know? Like a Mutombo and Tug McGraw, something like that.
I can support that.
Yeah. So this week's guest, it's just us. We wanted to talk before the Wednesday game. Make sure Devin had plenty of time to get this out there. We did try to get somebody from the Saprissa supporters group, but just like their team, they didn't show up. So. Yeah, he never got back to me, so I was like, ooh, okay, no problem. But let's get into a little housekeeping. Beer of the Pod, remember, support Yards and 2SP. I'm not drinking one of those. I'll tell you what I'm drinking later on in the episode, and we'll have some good beer talk today, apparently. I think we got a little social media backlash that we glanced over something, so we'll get into that a little bit deeper. Sons of Ben news, it is time to renew. If you're like Adam and you haven't renewed, time to get on it. Get on www.sonsofben.com and renew. The kits were packed, and they have been mailed out or being mailed out. Just so people understand, Molly can't take all 1,000 packages to one post office and drop it off. You have to do it in waves. The post office actually limits you to what you can send. So, you know, some people were mailed on Monday, some people were mailed on Friday, but they are coming out there, so you will get yours. We actually cleaned the lot up a week or 2 ago. We've got more picnic tables. We're spaced out. So we're going to be ready. Wednesday, we're not doing an official tailgate. I will tell you, I'll have a couple coolers full of beer down there. If you get to the game early, swing by the lot. You can hang out on a picnic table, grab a beer, and get ready. But we're not going to do food or anything like that. This week, sometime later this week, we will put the tailgate tickets for the Miami game on sale. We're going to cap it to 100 people. So as soon as they get up on Ticket Leap, get on it, because we're keeping it at a straight 100 people. So 1, it's manageable for the tailgate crew, and 2, we can socially distance, keep everything safe as possible. So just letting you know, once 100 people buy the tickets, they gone, and there ain't any exceptions. So sorry about that. So travel news, guys. Nashville, July 4th weekend. Get ready to book it. It's out there. We're still waiting to make sure, you know, we can attend the game. Nashville's going to be open up, all that stuff. But the good news is the travel agent we worked with, whatever money you put down, you can get your money back. No questions asked. So if you want, start booking it now. And let's hope that we've got a good Nashville trip. I'm planning on going. I think Adam might go. We're going to try to talk Devin into going too. And the only other thing I got to tell you, new merch is coming. Shield merch. We will have a kiosk, a Sons of Ben Shield merch kiosk at the Miami game, inside the stadium, below the Sons of Ben mural. So right by the supporters gate, that's where the union's putting us. And we will have, I believe we will have the one t-shirt we already designed, and then there's going to be a limited edition with like reflective silk screening on it, that we're going to have a small quantity of those, and then it'll also be available for online pre-ordering. but we wanted to make sure we had some so people could see it live. So we ordered a small quantity of those. So line up and get there. Now, the only other thing I got to ask is, Devin, did you hear that the union had a FIFA tournament for media members?
I did see this, and for whatever reason, I think somebody that we know was a part of this.
Does that mean we're media, or were they just low on guests?
It might have been a blend of both. I'm gonna take that card.
So
I'm just gonna sit here and act like y'all don't remember that I once was an active journalist, and I do have a degree in such. So I'm just like, I'm not currently a journalist. Like, I'm not currently out there, on the beat, but I have been media in my life. I've qualified as media.
All right, Mr. King of all media, not to steal from Mr. Eskin. Why don't you report on yourself on how a 6-year-old kid put you over his knee and spanked you on the big screen?
So, those like stories that you tell when you're a child, and it's like, I scored 2 touchdowns. I scored 3 touchdowns. I scored 5 touchdowns in the state championship game against Herschel Walker. Like, the story evolves over time. Like, let's put things in perspective. First, hi, Adam Booth here. I was the Sons of Ben representative in the media mayhem frenzy on FIFA. I was asked by the team themselves to participate, and I was more than happy to represent you, Matthew. So all the respect in the universe for that. You're welcome. All right. Secondly, and this is the cool part, your boy, because of his history of good FIFA-ing, got a bye in the first round. So whilst, you guys at Views from the Bridge and, the Philly Sports Network and iHeartRadio, all these people had to go in first round matchups. Your boy had to sit comfortably in his suite by himself because everyone was too busy to come to Chester with me because of work or whatever. Thank you for the fully stocked bar, Philadelphia Union. Fully enjoyed myself, even though the Trulies, we can do without that. Have you had a Truly before? What is that? That seltzer? It's not good. I'm just gonna say, don't sponsor us. I don't need your money.
You gotta go with the White Claw, man.
But there is no laws with claws, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't like Bud Light, but I do like Bud Light seltzer. I've gotten there with that. It's a weird thing for me. They had Bud Light there. I had 3 sips of it and immediately stopped drinking it and got a Dos Equis. I couldn't do it anyway. I got a first round bye. It was cool, got to see some of the competition, have my little suite there, so I got to play FIFA, which frankly, I gotta be real with you, and this is not an excuse in any capacity. I hadn't played FIFA in 2 years. Like, I had not played competitive. Like, I think the last time I really played competitive FIFA was when I went to the Media Mayhem tournament last year. Because the pandemic hit a week later, and I didn't buy the most recent FIFA, so I was not playing any of the recent FIFAs. So here I was just kind of going back in blind. So I got to practice around it. It was good. And then I played iHeartRadio, in the quarterfinals, and got a dramatic victory. And not to digress, this is riveting. This is as riveting as my Fusion Minute was. I know it is. But your boy was down 2-1 to start this game. I had chosen the mighty Chelsea Football Club, and my opponent chose Paris Saint-Germain for obvious reasons of having Kylian Mbappe and Neymar up top, and not because they have no defense whatsoever, because they don't. But for some reason, in this update of FIFA, Kepa has a higher rating than Mendy. I don't know why.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's not real. It's not a true thing. But Kepa's still respectively an 82, and Mendy's a 79. So your boy said, because I play in a video game world, I got to use the logic of the numbers. And I played Kepa in net. And you know what? As if the gods themselves bestowed upon Kepa his normal talent, there was howlers aplenty that put me in a position of being down 3-1 in this contest. But I came back. I clawed. I scratched, and I tied it right before extra time with your boy Christian Pulisic, because he's just a monster. But then, curveball, we both sign out right before extra time begins. So we both run out of our little cubicles, and we're just like, holy shit, what do? We run to the people organizing the tournament, and they're just like, we have no idea. And we're just like, okay, golden goal, sudden death. You pick pick the teams, you start a new game, first person to score wins. They gave me the kickoff. I passed it 2 times. I got to Timo Werner. I went top shelf. Game was over in 12 seconds. Your boy's running up and down the aisle because he's excited. Because the comeback was real. It was on. And if you saw the game itself, I deserved it. No disrespect to my opponent, but I deserved that W. But here's what they got.
Who's iHeartRadio?
I believe it was, I'm not exactly sure which station particularly. I believe it was Q102, though. I believe that's who I was up against.
So you beat up on like Jam and Jesse or somebody like that, huh?
Look,
Nice.
it wasn't, God, who was the guy who used to do, man, I'm not even going to digress in that. There was a guy who used to be a radio host in Philly when he used to do Q102 in the mornings when I was in high school, and I just can't even remotely remember his name, but anyway.
So they wheeled him out of the nursing homes for you to beat him up.
Right, exactly. So got that W there, but then I got to the semifinals, and I got to meet Micah Casey, Kevin Casey's child, who is also what I can only say is a FIFA aficionado. The kid's good. All right. I'm not going to sit here and candy coat it. I got no excuses. I'm not going to be like, I'm an adult and I have a job and this kid has all the free time in the world. I'm not going to play any of that shit. All right. I play enough video games where I should be able to beat most. And I will admit, because we were playing a local match and not an online match, they didn't do the online sync. So the Chelsea ratings were not the same ratings that I was playing with earlier. Not even the formation was the same, but that's okay. I rolled with the punches. And despite what Matthew's at here with his giving me gifts of me being spanked like it was Tom and Jerry, it was 5-2. Okay, it was 5-2. It was a tough one. And once he started doing the Ronaldo celebration in front of me, I felt a little bad. Also, the Union, every time he scored, he got the Union dupe. I didn't get anything when I scored, so I felt a little, after all the energy I put into that organization, I felt a little hung out to dry there. But hey, it's okay. It was a good competition for a good cause.
You should have had smoke bomb, so you could have lit off smoke bombs in front of this kid's face. And number 2, since you're going to be a good sport, you don't want to say this, I'll say it. Kevin Casey, you're a bad father. Make your kid read a damn book. The kid's parked in front of FIFA, so he's spanking a grown-ass man. He's playing too much FIFA, Kevin. Do your job as a parent. Get this kid a book. Get him, at least let him watch cable TV or something. Get him off the FIFA, for God's sakes. Please, did he at least go on to win this?
He did not. He lost in the finals to the now 3-time champion John Bach.
This guy's does he go on the Wall of Fame now?
I actually believe, he said, there was rumors of an MJ style retirement coming after the three-peat. But, as long as there's media mayhem tournaments, this man looks like he's going to continue to win them very handedly at that. So I'm almost okay with it because 5-2 feels like a far cry from the 13-0 I'd probably experience against him. So, that's fine.
Now, Devin, we are, as the Sons of Ben, we are reaching out to Jay Ajayi to try to represent us to see if we can do better in next year's tournament. So
we still need
Final Four.
Our Jay Ajayi versus Adam Booth heavyweight bout here. What are we doing?
I don't think Jay's afraid anymore. I think after seeing that, he's like, oh, I'm in. Now, speaking of FIFA,
went to the Final Four. Literally was in the semifinals. Could have fought for a check if I just realized that I was playing against a godchild before the game started. But that's okay. Whatever.
Well, speaking of FIFA, guys, www.philadelphia2026.com. Bringing the World Cup to Philadelphia. If you haven't done it, you got 2 homework assignments. sonsofben.com. Make sure you go renew and get on Philadelphia2026.com and pledge your support to bring the World Cup here. Adam, I did not go. Were you there on Friday night for the Drunken Union Zoom?
A moment. I wasn't there for too long, but I popped in and said what's up, said hi to the family.
Yeah,
but
I gotta make a point to get on this Friday just so we can chat about everything and the upcoming home opener. But and then Devin, there's one thing I have avoided like the plague, and that's been the Discord. How's that been going?
Great. We had our first round of predictions for our first game here. Guess who the only one was to get the score right? Yours truly. Thank you very much.
You
Thank you very
picked
much.
1-0 Union.
I did.
I mean, like, I
Wow.
respect it. I just don't know why. Like, I feel like if you were going to
That
pick the
that
Union to win, it would be a bigger margin than that, or at least like 2-1 or something like that. Like 1-0 feels so like throwing the dart. Like I love that though. I
and
mean, it was
and
accurate. So
and let's get into it. I mean, the Union went down to Costa Rica, man. The Saprissa game. Adam and I were at the viewing party at 2SP. We're in the back brewery. Good old time, couple beers, and we had the Shield there, and we watched it. And here's my impression: if you told me the score was 1-0, and the Union lost, I still would have been happy. On the aggregate, coming home to Chester, if they lost that game 1-0, I would have considered it a victory in my mind. And to know that they went down there and won 1-0, I'm like, holy crap. The only thing I'm like, don't let up on your laurels, guys. Get ready to finish this out and finish strong. What did you guys think about the game?
I mean, there's so many parts of this to take away. I think one of the biggest ones for the Union, especially before the game, and a lot of people were thinking the same thing about, the Union might have trouble coming out of the gate. They obviously first competitive game, preseason hasn't looked, great. They've gotten their fitness up, but results weren't great. And obviously the injury problems. Going into the game, it felt like that game where like the Union might come out slow and they might get punished for it, but they came out ready to play. They were faster than Saprissa the entire first 15 20 minutes or so. They were all over the attack, um, and I think that part won them the game. They set the standard early and just kind of kept with it.
They looked great first half. Second half, man, they looked slow. Like I honestly thought Saprissa was a younger team the way they were running in the second half compared to us. I don't know if it was altitude or just the humidity in Costa Rica that was getting them, but they looked a little drained. So hopefully that will be resolved on Wednesday. Adam, I was with you. I saw you running around the brewery.
all right, look. I mean, first off, first competitive match of this season also happens to be a Champions League match. Like that's barbaric and it's like Inception, but like I get it. And they looked great. I mean, all things considered, you have one striker out of your usual 3 to 4. Yeah, you have to start a guy that just came off the plane 2 days ago at your midfield because you're not sure about everyone else. You have to put your proverbial number 10 in a striker role. For the game, you got to play Mbaizo, who, let's be real about this, is a good right back, had the dime of a lifetime, but probably wasn't expecting the Ray Gaddis retirement so quickly. So you're still kind of trying to figure out your right back situation. And you went into Costa Rica and you got a W. There's two parts of this. One, good on the Philadelphia Union. Absolutely professional performance in every stretch. You got your defense shut them down for the majority of that game. Andre Blake was as consistent and coordinated as he needed to be. And you didn't generate as many chances as you probably would have liked, but you were on target with a lot of them. And obviously the Shabilka one was clinical. So the Union deserve a lot of credit for going into that environment in their first tournament ever, a weaker squad by every stretch of the imagination than the one that won the Shield in the first place, and still getting not only a result but a W. On the flip side of this, and this can't be underscored, that is not a good soccer club right now in Saprissa. That's not a good team. And I mean, and here's the thing, and I say that in the function of they could easily come into Chester and beat us on Wednesday, and like what I say won't not be accurate. They have been in what everyone would consider a free fall for a minute. They just tied another game that they had to come back on being down, after the Union contest. That team, towards the end, it looked like the Union were giving them opportunities more than Saprissa was actually taking, than they were forcing the play. The Union weren't using enough possession to close that game out. There was a lot of giveaways, there was a lot of kickballs, and I believe if you had a little more confidence in some of the individuals and, Curtin had confidence to make more subs, you didn't have an Elsinio,
Yes.
you didn't have anyone to make subs.
Yep.
I think you would have had fresher legs. I think you wouldn't have had that kind of drop off, but it's hard to be like, okay, Jack DeVries, who I don't even think was available, but it was just like, McGlynn, this is your time. Like, I'm going to put you in a Champions League battle. Please close this game out. This is going to be possibly the biggest win in franchise history.
I mean, listen, like that was like such a major part, like that, of not closing it out, and the subs had such a big part in that. The Union were on the back foot. Like, you could tell they were not able to keep up towards the end of the game, and they were just Saprissa was attacking. It's not like they weren't attacking. And just the lack of subs in like that last 30 minutes, just like it seemed odd. But then you look at the bench and you kind of understand why. Like, obviously Matt Real came in; he's an experienced guy. Quinn Sullivan, rookie guy. Then yeah, like you said, McGlynn, maybe Harriel could have made an appearance. I don't know.
But like, that's what you're relying on in your first Champions
Yes.
League battle is your
Yeah.
Nathan Harriel, and like, I have zero against Nathan Harriel, but that's not that's not the moment you put him in the game. You put him in against San Jose in the 80th minute. You don't put him in a Champions League battle on the road.
The weird thing is the 5 kids, the academy products, probably have more experience playing in Central America than our veterans do.
Fair.
That's the weird part about it. They probably
That's
made
fair.
that trip to Costa Rica or Nicaragua or Mexico more times than guys on the first team. And that's one question I did want to bring to Jim. Do they need to get permission slips for these kids to go to, like, other foreign countries? Like, what? They're 17-year-old kids. They're not taking them across state lines. They're taking them across international borders. Like, it's kind of weird just thinking that there's 5 17-year-olds on this squad right now that they brought to Costa Rica. Like, nice spring break trip, kids.
I think you can drink in Costa Rica at 17. I can't confirm or deny this. I think it's 16 is the drinking age there too. So
you can do a lot of shit in Costa Rica. So I don't know what's legal and what isn't. There's a lot of stuff you can that's not frowned upon doing. So we got a big game Wednesday. Like I said, we're gonna have some beers in the lot for any members that are down there early. What are we feeling for the 14th? Wednesday, 8:00, FS1, Subaru Park. Reopening a Subaru Park, 4,000 fans. I gotta think there's one wish I have as president of the Sons of Ben. I am praying that we have got some creative chance for one Mr. Ricardo Blanco, man. I think we've got to hit him harder than he hit Kai.
I can't believe we talked about that entire match and didn't bring that up.
Well, that's because we got a segment for him right after this, anyhow. But yeah, what's the predictions, man? Besides, Glesnes probably headbutting him into the river end. What else are we going to think is going to happen on the pitch?
2-1, and then Union move on that 3-1 aggregate, but 2-1. I think they get. I mean, I don't think Saprissa does. Like, I think you're in the driver's seat here. Again, they're not playing good soccer. You have weird confidence now from that one game. Like, the Union, their whole season was leading up. I mean, like, the whole after letting go of McKenzie, letting go of Aronson, not really signing anyone outside of, like, no disrespect to Finley or Flock, but it's just not necessarily, what everyone was looking for when they gave away or when they sold these guys for millions of dollars. So there's a lot going on this game. There's a lot of different emotions going on that game where people are just like, are we going to be terrible? Like, are we just going to get washed out of the Champions League? Are we going to be weirdly good? Are these academy kids ready? Blah, blah, blah. Is Fontana ready? Long story short, we still got some questions. We're still not sure. I don't think Fontana got enough touches in the first game, and that's probably by design, but, we by amount Saprissia's end, but, I think they'll figure it out. But look, I think you can't go into this game and not imagine the Union taking care of business at home after seeing what you saw in the first game. Because the flip side is these guys got to fly from Costa Rica to America now. And that's not an easy voyage, And on top of that, you have to do it within a weather pattern which might not necessarily be as conducive to them as they're used to. I'm just saying, this looks like it looks like something the Union should be able to take care of business here. So that's why I put a 2-1 up.
Yeah, this should be the Union closing this out. Like this is a great game. Close it out, stamp your mark on it, and move into the season. One thing to add to Surprise's problems they have coming into this game. So they already had a ton of injuries to their first team. Now they have 2 players, 1 coach that are not traveling due to positive COVID cases, and that was still getting some info today about what that looks like. So, you know, they're not in a good place right now. So.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Adam on. I'm thinking it's 2-1 Union, and if that is the case, I have one other prediction, and it's kind of a warning. So let me reach out to a friend of the pod, one of the owners of the team, Rob Buccini. Alert your Marriott, Old City Marriott staff, that after the 2-1 victory, you will probably have a permanent residence in the Marriott, because I think Saprissa will leave their damn coach behind. I don't think he's going to go back to Costa Rica employed. I don't think he's going to want to go back to Costa Rica because he might get his ass beat. But when the Union stomp him 2-1, I think Saprissa is going to be looking for a new head coach, and you may have a freeloader staying at your hotel. So you might want to change those locks, Rob. Just letting you know, get housekeeping on that.
I mean, and that's unfortunate because you hate to see, but you hate to see someone possibly lose their job over a series of games. But I was in the.
No, I'm waiting for Nick Sirianni to get fired already.
Well, I was waiting for. While we were in 2SP, I was just sitting there, just thinking to myself, my God, they actually if they get beat by the Union in the Champions League in the first round, it'd be hard pressed to me to see that guy keeping his job, because it's just no disrespect to the franchise of the Philadelphia Union, but that's got to be embarrassing. That has to be embarrassing for a club of that stature.
And even the weird thing is, how many MLS teams won or tied in the first round? Here's the weird thing. This is Champions League, the first time the Union have ever been in it. And we are looking at a possible Union Atlanta second round matchup. If you told me that last year for any MLS team, I'd be like, you're full of crap. There's no way. There's only going to be maybe one MLS team will sneak out of this. But you're looking at 4 or 5 teams in MLS being able to get out of the first round. This might be a MLS tournament towards the end, which is unfounded.
Well, and look, this is the inevitability. And it always was the inevitability. I never believed that the dominance that Central America and Mexico would have on this tournament would last forever, as long as, Canada and the United States started to truly take their soccer league seriously. Because let's just be real. Money generated, the potential. The United States could dwarf all of these countries in types of players they could get, types of training facilities, all of this stuff. And again, no disrespect to these nations. It's just the same reason why we dominate so many other sports in the world. So the idea to me that MLS clubs are finally now getting to a point where we can say we're on the. Look, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but in the next 4 to 5 years, there's no point of me saying that we can't compete on an even level with most of these clubs. And that's just indicative of time, resources, and everything in between. I didn't think the Union was going to be able to compete against Saprissa at this moment, but they figured a way out with the type of players that they have. But I did suspect Atlanta to do decently well. I did suspect Columbus to have a decent showing. I did suspect, Toronto to at least not completely roll over and die, because they have a collection of very good players on this level or internationally. It's not just, hey, these are good players for America. A lot of these people are good players for the world. A lot of the young players for these teams are eventually going to be sold to Europe in a way where they're going to be the new Weston McKennies, and you're going to be like, wow, that level of talent was playing in Orlando then, or playing in blank city then. So, long story short, I'm not surprised by this. This is the inevitability of the tournament, and MLS should start winning this tournament sooner rather than later. I'm not sure if it's this year, but this should be a good indicator of where we're going.
And I do want to say real quick, congrats, coach. 100 wins. What a way to get 100. Congrats to Ernst and Chris Albright for this because they were ready. And let's face it, the Union have not been ready for a first game in any season except 2010 when we won at the Link. So they came out, they were prepared, I think they had them scouted well, and they were ready to play, and they didn't use we're really beat up, we're missing, more strikers than we've ever missed. It didn't matter. They were like, we're going down there, we're taking care of business, and I hope that the home cooking doesn't distract them, that it's, hey, let's still take care of business. I know the 4,000 of us will be in that stadium ready to rock, ready to go. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, Devin, I don't know. This is more of a poll, so I don't know if you need to play this song or not. But we touched on this last week, so I'm going to put it out there. We're going to ask who the ass hat of the week. It's usually a social media award, but this is going to be real life. Ass hat of the week. Founders Brewing or Ricardo Blanco. That's what we're gonna have the folks. They can email Devin at Sons of Ben the Pod.
We'll do it simple. Let's put it on Twitter. We'll put a poll up on Twitter. Bigger ass hat of the week, Blanco or Founders. We'll call it a day on that front. No,
yeah. See, I go with Blanco because God, what a cheap ass hit.
And here's the thing about this. I'm gonna sit here and not be the typical homer where I'm just gonna be like, hey, they did something to us and it was rude and we didn't do anything to them. It's rude. It's like, no, Matt Real almost took out a dude's life too. I'm not going to sit here and not he studied a dude in his shin and he got away with that. So yeah. I'm not a non-observer. I'm not stupid, but at the same time, what Blanco did was absolutely come on, man. Here's the thing. We should be mad at the ref because that's a red card. I don't really get how, because it is not even the act itself. It is when it happened and how it happened. All of the elements of when you're doing that level of a slide tackle in that moment with 15 fucking seconds or 4 minutes left and it was 1 minute into stoppage time already.
Oh yeah.
And you're doing the you're not trying to save a goal. Kai is trying to do try to kick it out of the zone, and you do the scissor kick from Mortal Kombat, and you don't even look at the ball while you're doing it. Yeah, no, bro, that's a red. We got to move on and call it a red. That's a problem, and the fact that they didn't is a problem.
We've got to get Kai on because I want to get his mentality because he gets taken out and it looked like it hurt. So yeah, he's rolling around on the field and how much. I'd love to know, how much did it hurt? How much was that you just trying to sell it to get the red card for the guy? Because as soon as he popped his head up and he saw one of his best friends, Glesnes, get hit in that giant melon of his, he popped up and was ready to roll. And then he started limping again. He had 6 injuries in about 4 minutes. And I just want him to walk us through it at one point.
I want to be walked through. It was Glesnes, did you feel that person punch you in the back of the head? Because it really seemed like you didn't. And I was really I watched it and I was just I was waiting for soccer fan Adam to be oh, Glesnes is going to go hit the deck and roll around for 5 minutes because he just got literally sucker punched in the back of the head and it looked like it did nothing to him.
You know what the worst part is? And this is on a whole soccer landscape. The worst part is that if Glesnes did that, the way this ref was reffing the game, probably would have gotten a red card. But
easily,
and that's a whole other conversation of poor reffing. But
Well, here's the thing. They also don't have VAR, which is absolutely stupid as shit. If you're going to have a tournament where VAR can exist in some part of the tournament, then it has to exist in all parts of the tournament, and this is ridiculous. So the fact that you can't just go back and then just sit in front of a television screen and be well, that guy literally punched that guy. That guy put his hands on that guy's neck. And then just be red card, red card, red card, red card, we're out. Legitimately, that's what VAR, They did that for Zinedine Zidane in a World Cup final. Like, the ref didn't see it happen in real time. He saw the replay on the big screen. That's the only reason why Zidane got the bleeping red card. And that was before VAR even existed. So if you can retroactively give people freaking red cards, like, come on now. That was ridiculous.
I will say, as somebody that has been up close to Glesnes, I don't think he felt it. That head is ginormous. I mean, he might have one of the biggest melons I've ever seen in my life. To give you an idea, I was, leaving the practice facility around the same time on I-95, and I'm driving up, and I could spot him, not because of the car he had. I could just see from like 6 car lengths away this giant blonde head in his car, in his SUV. And I'm like, I think that's Glesnes. And when I pull up, that's Glesnes, all right. Like, I mean, I think the gravitational pull from his head caused that gentleman's fist to come into it. I just think he got caught in the gravitational.
No, here's the piece of resistance about the entire incident too, because it's just like, you saw peak soccer. I kind of am about that life, but I'm really not about that life, because like, the dude who hit Glesnes hit him once and was just waiting for a retaliation, and Glesnes didn't move, so then he hits him again and does it nothing, and then Glesnes gets singled out because like everyone's moving around, and then the guy starts shouldering him. He doesn't push him, just starts putting his shoulder into him gently before he's pushed away. And it's like, every sport has the fake tough guy move. Like, hockey has the face wash. They put the hands in the face. Like, they do all this stuff where they know a ref is going to come in 2 seconds to break this up, but they're going to do the one thing, like the Sidney Crosby hair pull, that thing. Or in the NBA where they have like one of the centers hold back the guard from fighting, and they always have like, they're always slapping the back of the person holding, like, no, let me go. Baseball, they have the guy grabbing the collar. No, let me go, man. Let me get him. That was peak.
It's the Devin, hold me. You're lucky Devin's holding me, man. You're lucky
he's holding, because legitimately the guy had a clear shot to just clock Glesnes if he wanted to. Like, if he was really about that life and he wanted Glesnes to feel it, he had all of the momentum in the universe to start throwing hands, and he was just like, shoulder bump.
Oh man! All right, let's get into our second nominee. And boy, Adam, you and I both got a little roasted for our, I guess, lack of heat on the last pod about the Founders sponsorship. So, Founders Brewing was announced as a union sponsor, and in typical union social media Twitter fashion, everybody Googled and then looked at the first 2 articles and then made decisions that Founders is part of the Third Reich, and went basically ape shit, including good friend of the pod. I consider him an advisor to the kitchen cabinet of the Sons of Ben, presidency cabinet. Union Hulk got thrown off of Twitter for a while because of his reaction to the Founders thing. Like I said, we glanced over it, and I'm just gonna say one thing. I go, guys, like, sometimes we're a little too much on things. I'm gonna let Adam go into this deeper, and then we'll go back and forth. But this thing happened in 2018. The lawsuit was settled in 2019. We don't know all the facts of this. Granted, the one employee looked like a dipshit, during the court case, and you can tell the owners of Founders just were obsessed with winning this trial, not even like fixing everything. Hopefully they are now. And we will try to get somebody from Founders to come on to talk to us about this. But I don't know. Is this something that we should get super heated about, Adam? Or is this something that, Union Twitter got a little too heated? Or where are we at with this, you think?
All right, look. I have a responsibility here. I put myself in a lot of positions that I definitely speak on a lot of the issues that affect the African American community. And, sometimes when you speak on some, you're kind of almost destined to speak on all. Here's what I'll say on the following. Look, when we went into last week's podcast, I had glossed over at best the hearing that racist things happened at a company. And to be frank with you, I did not do nearly enough research into this conversation before the podcast, before making my statements on that. And I'll say this, it comes from a fatigue of just all of this. I hear a lot of this, and it's a lot for me. And sometimes it's just you get to a point where you just don't want to be fighting literally everybody. But that's not an excuse. That's just an explanation. Definitely upon my viewing of what had happened, look, what happened and how it was handled was terrible. That was not how you handle that situation in any capacity, and everyone involved in that should be deeply upset. This comes from a place where representation is important. And this is why I bang the drum for representation being important. Look, I mentioned on Twitter a couple of days ago, I had an incident when I was leaving North Carolina, driving into South Carolina, about being tailed outside of a city, crossing into the border. And only when I crossed into the South Carolina border and out of the jurisdiction of the police officer did he stop tailing me. And it's like, look, I don't know if he could see my race. I don't know if he knew what was going on. I don't know if he saw my plates or whatever. But as an African American, that scares the actual living shit out of me every single time that shit happens. And if anyone saw what happened to the military officer who got pepper sprayed by the police officers in like that shit. If he had a military uniform on, those are the people that you're supposed to probably trust more than your average. So what's my defense against any of that stuff happening to me, my person? So that shit's scary and terrifying. These incidences happen far too often and are way too swept under the rug. And I believe with Matt, they wanted that court case to be done. They wanted to clear their name out of that situation because, like anybody wants, they don't want to. People are not afraid of racist things anymore. They're afraid of being labeled as racist, and that's the problem. That a lot of this stuff is they don't care if their actions were bad. They just care that it's what the perception of those actions truly were. And look, if Founders is going to work with this club, I love this club, and I want everything and the possibility for this to be the best thing ever. I do not necessarily agree with this move as my research has gone with it, but I am here to talk to them. I am here to hear what is their thoughts on what's going on now. If shit's terrible still, I recluse myself from my feelings on them as a brewery and how they affect the club moving forward after that. But at this point, if they're going to be here anyway, they at least have to talk. And if anyone has known me for this podcast and how we've handled this, when this type of a subject comes up, I'm the one who talks to the people and tries to hold them to the fire. When the subject came up of what are we going to do to change the identity of how Black people perceive the union, I talked to the ownerships about this. I talked to Tim McDermott about this. I talked to the people that mattered about this. I'm not trying to put it as a track record. I'm just saying when it comes to this time, we will have the conversations that need to be had because, especially in a city like Chester, which is 70% Black, and in a city in Philadelphia that is 43% Black, you have to have the assurance that your company is in the best interest of a large demographic of the people who should be in your area.
Yeah, and I want to touch on, kind of the union side and even founder side. You dig into any company that's been around for 10, 20 years, that's got a diverse employee, there's always going to be some sort of incident. It's more common. Boulevard in Kansas City has got sexual harassment cases. I mean, Jesus, the union had a head coach that would spank adult men with an ice bucket in the beginning of our history. It's not like we're a bunch of saints over here. There shit happens in the world, and I don't want to be part of the people that completely cancel someone out because one or two or three employees were assholes, and whatever happened. Now, if the owners of this company knew what was happening and blatantly disregarded it and said, no, screw it, that's how we do business, then yeah, that's something that I'd want to know and say, no, don't want to do business with you. I mean, Founders has hasn't directly approached us, but through the union about being a beer sponsor for the Sons of Ben. We haven't had the conversation. I really wasn't that interested, not because of anything, just just because we've got great sponsors, didn't think we needed it. But we were supposed to have a conversation before all this happened. Keep in mind, the Sixers have partnered up with Founders also, and Sixers Twitter didn't say a word. So is this Union Twitter being more woke, or just dramatic? I don't know. But I will tell you this, and I just want everybody to think, because the other thing that kind of bothered me was there's so many great local companies. Why did they go to Founders? They had Dogfish. Then they had like 6 other brands. Let me tell you what a not a great beer investment MLS is. There's maybe 18 games at an MLS stadium, home games, that you'd be selling beer. The way soccer's set up, maybe you're selling a beer before the game and at halftime, and then the taps are shut off afterwards. So maybe you're buying 2 beers. The biggest consumers of beer are probably the Sons of Ben, and we're getting loaded up on our beers that are $10 tailgates instead. So how much money do you think you're getting out of a sponsorship with a Major League Soccer team? It's not baseball. It's not, 82 home games and 7 innings of just constantly drinking beer. It's not football. It's not that. So it's hard for the union to find a sponsor and a craft beer sponsor. So with everybody going, oh, they should have gone local. We work with Yards. They weren't going to pony up that money to work with the union. They'd rather work with the Phillies because there's more bang for your buck. So finding a sponsor isn't as easy as everybody thinks it is. And if you think I'm wrong, look at the front of the uniform. That's been the only people that have been interested in sponsoring this team, because the bang for your buck for some MLS teams is not the same as what you would get, at least in this city. Maybe Nashville, maybe Austin. It's great, but in the city of Philadelphia, that's not the best bang for your buck. So I wish people would stop telling the union how to try to get sponsors. Yeah, do they have to research or be more forthcoming with this? Yes, and I'm hoping we do get to talk to Founders, because I'd like to get a little bit more. Hey, what the hell are you guys thinking? And what are you doing about it now?
And the core of this is, and I'll let Devin get in here, because I know he's just chomping at the bit to release his own thoughts on this. But the core of what this is, and it's always the core of all of this stuff, is what is your reaction? Like it's the idea of the action itself happens more often than not. It is what is a person's reaction to the action.
Yes.
That is 90% of the issue here. And I'm just saying, look, I can't be beholden to a racial incident or a sexual incident to a company until I realize what their response to it is. Individuals commit these issues, not companies. I've always said that. Individuals themselves have the power to commit problems. However, if a company responds poorly, then it's on everybody. Because that's when you're festering an environment. That's when you're creating something. And this is a problem, and this is the problem for me with it. The Philadelphia Union have been at the forefront of handling a lot of this racial issues that we've had. In the past year, the team was commended. Jim Curtin was at the forefront of it. Ray Gaddis, Warren Cravell, any person who was associated with this team during the Black Lives Matters movement, anything, they were at the forefront of this. Warren Cravell makes a t-shirt that half of the league wears during the MLS's back tournament. This team is as embedded in that struggle, in that particular struggle, as anyone is in the league, and they should be based off of their cities. Only basically maybe Atlanta should be as involved, if not more, in terms of their population being African American in comparison. Detroit still doesn't have a team yet, and until then, I'm sure they'll handle it as such. But still,
they got a USL team. What you talking about?
Well, no, but I'm saying MLS. But but it's still.
Yeah, no, I know.
The Philadelphia Union were rightfully, and I don't need them to be. I don't need my soccer team to carry the banner for racial injustice. But if you're going to do that, and then you're going to partner with a group that has had not a track record to say, but a very well-documented incident of not only the action, but the reaction being particularly poor, That's what the red flags are coming up here. And to go on your point on why this is more particular to Union Twitter than it is the Sixers Twitter. Sixers Twitter ain't paying attention to that shit. 75 sponsors happen with the Sixers every 5 minutes. The Sixers don't even know that they've had a they've had a meat pie sponsor for 5 years based out of Australia. No one even remembers that 4 and 20 pies are still being sold in the Wells Fargo Center. Half the people don't even know there's a Shake Shack in there. So no one's paying attention to the advertising dollars that are coming in with the 76ers. But the Union, because these people care about this team like it's their baby, it's different. The Union fans feel different because they know that they are needed for the viability of this club's survival. It's a different type of beast. The Phillies don't need us. The Eagles don't need us. The Sixers don't need us. The Union need us physical people. You, I, Devin, every one of us who have a podcast out there, everyone who buys season tickets, the Union need all of us. And that's why we treat how we handle the Union differently. So when they make moves that we don't agree with, it's a lot more egregious to us. That's my only explanation for that, And is it right or wrong? That's another conversation for another day. But that's the reasoning.
Yeah. And I mean, the only other message I have is Union Hulk, don't get thrown off Twitter for this. You're too important. Don't get thrown off Twitter for this.
No, we love you, Union
Devin.
Hulk, and we love you.
Yeah.
No, Devin, please.
He was heavily in our inbox, especially about this topic. So that was a fun time. But no, a lot of my views have already been mentioned by Adam, so I won't go back and repeat things. But the one thing is the Union know how their fan base, like Adam says, we are chomping at the bit for any information about our team. It doesn't matter if it's a sponsor, if it's a little patch on the jersey that no one's even going to see other than the Union fans. Like, we care about that stuff. We care about who our sponsors are. So my only thing is the Union partnering with them. They knew the optics going into this. They knew they have to before they form a partnership with Founders. They have to do any little bit of research and know what the optics of this company are. I don't care who you are. There's people whose jobs it is to do that work. That being said, the Union couldn't have just made a little statement about it, said something about it, other than just completely ignoring any backlash they get. It would quell everyone's feelings about it if they came out and said, "Listen, we're working with Founders. They're partnering us because they want to be a bigger part in this movement." Yada yada yada. Anything. Just give me that. But a silence about it is the biggest part for me.
It's deafening. And that's the thing about this. And Matt points out everything that's accurate about this. No, the Union were not going to get the lovely local breweries of Philadelphia to pony up enough money to do a real sponsorship with this club in a way that's going to generate enough money. So that's why every brewery that everyone has pointed out, look, we should all go to those breweries. And the lovely documentary about the two African-American gentlemen who opened up their brewery, we are going to bring them down to Chester. They are going to hang out with us because that is something that absolutely needs to happen. But they're not going to be able to sponsor the Union. Let's be
one
real
of the
about
owners
this
yesterday. I went down to where they brew because they don't even have a physical brewery yet. Went down. TC and I bought 2 4-packs. Adam, guess how much a 4-pack is from 2 locals? $15.99 and $17.99, something like that.
Support.
Yeah,
you gotta support.
So I
boutique
had it. I gave him my Sons of Ben card, and I invited them because listen, I wasn't going to ask them to be a beer sponsor because I don't think they have enough beer that they want to give us that we get from Yards and 2SP for this. They're a small business, I want them to do well. But I did invite both of those guys. I'm like, hey, why don't you come down to a game? Love to have you at the tailgate. Bring some cans. And, when we can do sampling, do some sampling and talk to our members about your beer. We'd love to support you. I mean, our water sponsor is a company called Crisp out of Harrisburg, and it's an African-American owned business. And here's the thing. We didn't seek them out because of that. When we talked, we were like, hey, we'd love to support you, but we also want to support a local business and somebody that does good, So that's where that came along from. I don't want to get into this. We're only going to support like Asian businesses because it's the cool thing to do, or African American owned businesses because we just want to support people that support us support local. So that's what we're going to do. But
we want to support the industries that are our community. And it happens that we have a lot of African American and Asian people in the Philadelphia community. So if we happen to support these businesses again, and I'm the first person to say, please don't pander to me. Like, please don't just make me a part of your conversation just because I'm black, but also recognize that me being black is a thing, and I recognize that black businesses have the happenstance of being patronized less. Is this because of their locations? Is it because I don't believe it's all out racism. It's just statistical facts. So if you can, more often than not, please. And like, look. At the end game of this, and like I know this is one of the more delicate subjects we've ever talked about. This is just look. I am a person who always says, please give me action. Words annoy me because I've heard every single word in the universe. I hear them from all my politicians. I hear them from all my, I was a journalist. You know how many times I had to hear coach speak in my life when a coach tells me we're just going to give them 110%. And I have to, from somehow all of these nuggets, mine actual information and try to formulate opinions on this. I'm tired of people telling me A, how I'm supposed to feel about subjects, B, how they feel about subjects, and C, what should and should not be done about stuff. I want action. I'm tired
I
of
think the one word that people forget in this debate is the one thing that everybody wants. It's equality. I just want, anybody that would treat Adam would treat me the same way and vice versa. That's all it is. Like, if you own a black business, you should be treated like any other business. And if it sucks, you stop going there. It doesn't matter who owns it. It matters, is this a local business that I like and I want to support? Just treat it equally. That's all you have to do. Give a new business a shot because they're new and they're trying something. And that's what I'm hoping we just, I don't know, get back to just, we talked a lot about this, Adam, where we couldn't stand people that say, oh, I don't see color. We're like, come on, you're lying. You're just lying. You have to recognize that there's differences between people, but get to know them. Talk to them a little bit. Just like this whole founders thing, we want to talk to founders and hear what they have to say. And then we can make an opinion instead of just reading 2 articles and a Twitter post and then railing against everything out there. I want to hear what they have to say. And if it doesn't satisfy us, then we're like, you know what? We had the conversation. You can go screw yourself. I just hope people start having conversations instead of just immediate reactions, flying off their thumbs on the Twitter.
Breaking news, gentlemen. And this is only because this is 4:37 on Sunday afternoon. Kendall Watson will not be able to come to the United States of America because he entered through Europe in the last 2 weeks. So he entered Costa Rica through Europe in the last 2 weeks before coming to America. So he will not be able to travel to the United States.
Kendall Waston, the Costa Rican player for Saprissa.
Yes.
Defender. Used to play for FC Cincinnati. Yada yada.
Yes, he did. Also, I believe
Vancouver.
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 Yes, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yes, he will not be playing.
Wow. Hey, just keep the foot on the gas pedal, guys. Let's beat this team on Wednesday. Speaking of Europe, I only have one update from the alumni. You guys might have others, but friend of the pod, Brendan Aronson, got a haircut, and he may have just retired the headband. So that's some hair talk.
His sister asked for them back.
I think the sister asked for them back. I know. I think he finally put them in. What do you use? You really don't use UPS going to Europe. Is it like DHL?
Yeah, DHL. DHL. When I was in Europe, I saw DHL everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the move. I'm jealous, man. Like I'm jealous of white people hair for sports, soccer, hockey, lacrosse, and oh god, what was that last one? It's not a helmet one. I'll think of it as it comes. But like white people hair, the way that it comes out of the back of helmets, I'm jealous of. And then the way that y'all can tie them up in, like when it's in soccer mode, when y'all can just put that little headband and it just all kind of flows back like a lion.
So you're jealous of mullets between lacrosse and man, you may have spent a little too much time in South Carolina if you're loving the mullet.
Look, man. First off, there's never spending too much time in South Carolina. There's just spending too much time anywhere else. Secondly, and this is really important, if anyone knows me, knows I'm a huge fan of hockey, and the Minnesota hockey. Or the Minnesota State Tournament has a hockey hair segment, and that is the best thing about the internet. It's just watching this hair of all of these young Scandinavian descendant men just come out and just have it flow like just various versions of Thor just on the ice. Like, let me tell you, love that shit. Like, I'm totally okay with being a black man with my hair. I can cornrow this. I can make it a fro. I can make it do designs. I can put like, sketches in it. It's great. But I'm jealous of the flow. I'm
See,
jealous of the
if we're going to
legends,
talk
man. I'm
about
not gonna lie.
jealousy as a white guy, I'm jealous of the black barbershop.
The black barbershop is so much cooler than the white barbershop. Like it kicks
Yeah,
the. But here's the thing. I will tell you, the Latino barbershop
okay.
also slaps. Latino barbershops also slap.
It's one of the things I'm jealous. And as somebody that did rock a mullet in the high school days, you shouldn't be jealous of that shit, man. That ain't a look you want to know.
I'm not jealous of the party in the front. I'm not jealous of the business in the front. I'm jealous of the party in the back. Like my friend David, who I've known my entire life, I told him, can you just give me 1 year of like James Vanderbeek and Dawson's Creek, or just like give me that real good Letterkenny hockey hair? And he gave it to me for the pandemic, and he just cut it off like a couple of weeks ago. But it was down to his shoulders, and I was giddy because like I dream a genie of having shoulder length hair. It's just for whatever reason, I had cornrows as a youth. It was never shoulder length.
Well, now we got goals. Maybe we're gonna have for charity a hair growing contest between me and Adam, and see.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a perm. I'm gonna get a Cat Williams Prince in like
Let
his
me tell you,
fourth season perm.
that might be one of the worst white people looks ever. Was the perm. The perm.
No, but it's. I mean, look, see, Matt, you ain't Southern enough. You don't understand. You don't understand the power of the perm.
My God bless my mother. She was a hairstylist, and she used to in the '80s. My dear departed Uncle Jack would get a perm, and she would do it for him in our kitchen, and that stuff stinks, man. That stinks. Like,
oh yes.
But yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, but my man wanted a perm, and he would get them. Like, it's like every couple 4 or 5 weeks, Uncle Jack come over and get his perm done.
Look, we can talk about the historical implications of African American women having to straighten their hair like white women because of workplaces and all that fun stuff. But what I do find fantastically interesting now is now that afros are being a lot more accepted in the workplace, is just like I want my fro back. I do. I know it's not going to grow the way I need it to like be the maximum fro because I've aged a little bit. Part of it's like I don't think I need like the Rogaine just yet, but there's some parts that need some little touching up here and there. I recognize that, but the pandemic has allowed me because like combination because I wear a mask all the time. It's allowed the beard to flourish. And then at the same time, I'm just growing my hair completely willy-nilly. And because Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons have made me afraid of barbershops for the foreseeable future, I'm not getting my hair cut. So there you go.
Yeah, so, well, I'm glad we had the real talk on race that we wanted to, Adam, where concerned, white people hair versus black people hair. I think we broke some ground here.
Look, man, I think if everyone just acknowledges the differences, like don't tell me you don't see color. Tell me you see the fact that I have curly hair and I want my hair to have a perm.
I want you to have a perm.
See that.
All right, I know we're getting long on time, so Devin, let's just breeze through some of our favorite moments, which is weekend Premier League soccer. Can we just say things are back to normal? The beloved Chelsea had a big win versus that huge powerhouse of the Premier League, Crystal Palace. Suck it, Joshua Harris. We crushed you. Pulisic scores not 1, but 2. Former Union Academy product, well, should have been Academy product. Pulisic gets 2 and doesn't get injured. This is great. This is what stories are written about. And then let's just say Sunday was even better for Adam and I because the Tottenham Hotspurs faced off about Man U. Jose was gonna exercise some ghosts in Old Trafford, and it was at Tottenham. I'm sorry, and your boy's son, he scores. How'd the rest of that end, Devin?
The old let's park the bus after we're up 1-0 and see what happens. 2 to
So
1.
if
3 to 1 actually. 3 to 1.
3 to 1. Man U takes down Tottenham. So things are back to normal for Adam and I in the Premier League. Everything is right. The sun is starting to shine. God bless. Devin, do we have anything else that we need to clean up, or are we?
So real quick, shout out to former Philadelphia Union superstar, and by superstar I mean just one of my favorite defensive midfielders of all time, Moby. He in the 2 Cents podcast, we're talking today about how terrible the Miami United kits have been in comparison to what they have as a potential. And as a Palermo fan, that spoke to me. And I appreciate them hitting that subject with the fervorance that it needed. We need to talk about jerseys, people. All right. The Union came out with a stunning jersey. So did Seattle. So did Los Angeles. You know, a lot of people came out with good jerseys. And then so many squads shit the proverbial bed. And we got to talk about this. Adidas. You know, who's in charge of this stuff? Who puts the last say on this? And why? And did New England fire everyone who was involved in jersey creation with that club? Because they should have 5 years ago.
All right, Adam, maybe we'll get your girl AG from Miami and just roast her about how terrible the jerseys are on.
No, you know AG had nothing to do with that. She's smart enough of a woman to recognize the power of actual pink. Not that all faded.
I think
white.
we need that conversation. So,
Bring
ladies and gentlemen, episode number Stefan Wazinski 61 is in the books. It's a marathon, but everybody get ready for Wednesday. We got some Costa Rica action, some Champions League action. So we will see y'all on Wednesday. Everyone, take care and wash your hands.
See you soon.